Okay, so here's a little update. There is actually oil in the old Plenum. So if you look right here on the rings, right there on the bottom, there's some oil in there, and there's oil on these. In fact, before I clean up tonight, my project was to take all of that inside and wash it up. So what that means, thanks to my Porsche connection, Brian, is that right there is the oil separator. And there was a service bulletin that this year car, prior to a certain month build, it needed to be replaced. And the annoying thing is that it's probably under warranty, but because I have the car apart, it just makes sense to go ahead and replace it. It's got 2 screws, and then there's 2 fittings on the back with hoses that come in and out. So I think I'm going to call the dealer in the morning and see what they have to say and see if I can't maybe get it under warranty and get them to give it to me. If not, I gotta tell you, if it's under $100, I'll just buy it and go ahead and replace it. But that is the oil in the intake problem. So there you go. New part has arrived. So it looks like out of the car. It doesn't seem that difficult to get to. There are 2 screws that hold it together, right here and right here. I gotta get in there and see what this is. And then the other side of this breather tube right here that plugs into the plenum right here is, the other side of that plugs in right here. And anyway, so what we're gonna do is unplug it, the breather tube, get it out of the way, get the oil out of it. And then we'll go ahead and remove these 2 screws. I'm gonna get in there with flashlight. I can probably see that real quick here. And what that is a clip that holds one of these hoses. Clip goes right there that holds one of the hoses. I'm gonna put some oil on here before I seat it down in there. And this right here is just some kind of spring-loaded breather. It doesn't seem to have any, or there's nothing hooked up to it. So this should be a pretty straightforward, easy job. And I'll try to get the camera in there so you can see what I'm doing, but it is tight. Let's see, we have a Torx socket. And my money's on, it is probably this one. So let's reach back in there and see. And that is too big. I do not possess the ability to look at these things. Oh, that one's perfect. And be able to tell what the heck they are. I did not get that, Gene. And getting to the front one, let me show you real quick, is easy. Getting to that back one is not so easy. So, right, where am I looking? There we go. So you can just see it right there. Right there. Right behind that metal thing. So right there, that's the one on this side, and I'm just gonna have to feel around for the one on the other side. And I'm gonna take a closer look here. So right here is where this plastic pin goes through to hold a wire assembly. I'm going to just pop it with this. I got one of these tools. And before I undo the screws, so that I've got plenty of good leverage, I'm gonna get in underneath it and pop it loose. And my experience with these is they break. So hopefully it's not gonna break, but you know, the reality is if it does, I'll just zip tie it. So I'm completely under it. Go ahead and give it a good twist. And, beautiful. It popped right out. So that's always nice. I don't think I can see it at all. So here's the one. Put it right there for safekeeping. Before I remove that other one, I'm gonna go ahead and remove that breather tube. And the way these work is you just squeeze them and pull them off. You don't have to twist them or anything. Just here. There's the ratchet, and she's right on the other side there. And I'm gonna put one more extension on. So access from this side. Trying to reach it from the back was stupid. Get some leverage and hope that it pops. Yep, there it goes. And because I didn't get rid of this hose, I'm gonna have to take the hose out with it. And there we go. All right, whew, got it. So, well, there's actually nothing in it. The car has been sitting long enough where nothing's dripping out. And then now I can get enough power to squeeze this hose off. This sucker is trash. And I'm going to clean the oil out of this line and then run some compressed air through it, make sure that I'm not introducing any water in there. And actually, I think I'll just blow the oil out. All right, progress. Yay. So the prep on this, I'm just gonna put some oil on these O-rings right here to help them slide in. It's fully synthetic, but it's not Mobil 1. This is what I put in my daughter's car and what I happen to have. So I'm just gonna put a coat all around these O-rings. And I really want both sides of the O-rings to be saturated with oil. So I'm just gonna drip some in there. And I have no idea if this is an overkill, but I don't want to be in a position where that should be in better shape. So wipe off the excess, and that's it, good to go. So just because I know it, just because I know it came out with this thing on, I'm gonna wait and plug this in after I install it, because I don't want to, I think I might have a little bit more clearance. So I think the worst thing I can do here is two things. Get dirt or junk around this and shove it down into the engine. That'll get in the oil. Second is drop a screw. So I'm gonna position the flashlight just in some place back here where I can grab it, but I can still see what I'm doing. So right there is good. And then this goes in this way. And I can see the ports, but barely, and I can't fit my head in there. So I'm just gonna line it up best I can see it. Right there. And then rely on the screws to line me up the rest of the way. We are right here. That's the new one. Let me bring us out a little bit there. That's the new one. And if I bring you right here, you can see that's where the one screw goes. Right there. The other one is over here and you can't see it. And I'm just gonna push down on that as hard as I can to get those O-rings to go down into the motor. And then the screws are gonna have to take up the rest of the gap. After kind of a ridiculous amount of trial and error, I finally figured out how to get this thing to seat down in. And basically what you have to do is get that screw right there, that back one, get it started so you can see the gap right there. And then this one right there, I don't think you can see it. Oh, yeah, there, the ratchet's on it. Get that one started second. This one will keep this thing in position while you tighten down this one. And then just work your way back and forth until the thing is totally seated. All right, and one more tip with this job. So remember, I lowered the motor. And if your hand is not awkwardly large, you can squeeze it right on the outside of the passenger manifold to reach in there and hold your ratchet extension. And then with your left hand, you can just turn this sucker all day and go back and forth on each side. And you just have to kind of watch so it seats down evenly. And you start to feel a little resistance as you're dropping those O-rings down. But I mean, you can clearly see it working. Super pain in the ass to get to. And I'm pretty sure I'll be bleeding by the time this is over. Okay, once you get both of them started, I mean, I've gone back and forth probably 3 or 4 times, and I'm really making progress. So you just got to take it slow and do, you know, maybe 10 turns on one side, and just kind of look at it. You know, your main objective here is you want it to go down evenly, right? Just common sense. So gone back and forth, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it to make sure that it's going down even, and pressing those O-rings down. And you know, really the only thing that you need is a few Advil and some patience. So I found that it's easier to just take that off whenever you go for this front one. It's just very, very difficult to get to because it's on an angle. And once you're in there, once you get the socket on there, the torque factor definitely makes it easier to stay on, I think. Oh, there we go. Oh. It's just such a fucking pain in the ass. I mean, there's no other word for it. God, okay, there we go. Now it's on. Make it go straight, and oh, here's another problem. I'm gonna have to put my other extension on because I've lowered the the screw's gone in so far that I can't clear the intake manifold. There we go. Okay, so that is all there is to it for the oil air separator replacement. You can see it right there with the yellow dot on it right there. There's the new one in there. All I have to do is put the hose back. And once I replace the plenum, the whole thing just goes right back together. So a lot of work, but if this was not under warranty, I don't even know how much money you would save. It's got to be a bunch of labor to do that. It was difficult, even though I don't have the right tools. Even for a mechanic, it's got to be a couple hours in this job. So anyway, if you are interested in how that plenum gets replaced, please watch the plenum video. If you are watching the plenum video, please keep watching. That's what's next.